What do I want it to look like?
Right.
What are my options here?
Yeah. So the first step is really just the acceptance of, I'm going to take an honest, cold, hard look at myself, and I don't have to share this with anybody.
That's right.
You know, I can keep this to myself.
It's really better if you do that too, and especially in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
because you want to just know yourself, right? You don't want any outside input,
Right.
Because you want to be able to have that ownership, and you need to feel powerful in your wins. That those are actually your wins. That's not somebody else's situation giving you feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So the autonomy that comes with even just analyzing these parts of your own life yourself, I found it very empowering. Welcome back to Create Your Fate. I'm your life coach, Meg Ellis, here to help you create your best life ever, beginning with your mind. And today I have one of my dear friends. She is an integrative nutrition health coach. I think I said that right. Kelley
Yes,
Workman,
yeah.
you are on my show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Tell us about all the things that you do.
Okay. Well, first, being an integrative nutrition health coach, we look at the whole person, their whole life, from your education, your career, your family, everything about you, not just what you eat. But the basis is what you eat and what you do affects all of those areas of your life, right? So that's why it's integrated. We integrate everything. We're not just looking at your plate. What's your plate look like? What's your career look like? What's your relationship, your community? All of those things. What do all those look like? So
Right. Everything.
personal trainer and Pilates, all these other things I do too, kind of all fit in that same umbrella.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how long, so you started, how did you get into this? Why is it important to
So
you?
I've always been working. I've worked out since I was 14 years old. So I've always had like a health and fitness. I've competed in different things when I was younger. I've always been in that realm, right? My family's really into bodybuilding and all these things. But during COVID, I was in real estate my whole real career. So one of my sons was getting out of college, and I kind of knew he would kind of take over whatever clients I had and that kind of stuff. So it just was kind of a natural progression, like, hey, I'm in midlife. I'm kind of wanting to retire from this. Commercial real estate is not a 9-to-5 job. It's
No
a
joke.
24/7, 365 day. And anyone, if my clients are listening to this, I love them all. But I mean, being called at midnight and 2 a.m. about problems, which are valid problems, but I'm like, I'm old. I don't want to keep doing this. So I had been teaching Pilates for many years. I had been a yoga instructor and done all these things. And then I saw this health coaching certification through it. It's a fabulous school, and they had all these amazing teachers. Deepak Chopra was a teacher. Dr. Will Cole was a teacher. Like all these amazing teachers.
Big names.
Big names. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. I want to know more. I want to learn more how to integrate. Because when I would train people, work out with people, of course we're working out, but in that 1 minute rest period, we talked about their husband, their kid, their everything else, nothing to do with food or exercise.
Right, all these other facets
All
of
the
life.
other,
You're a
yeah.
life coach.
Yeah, and so I just started realizing, I'm like, hold on a minute. The workout is awesome, and it's really good bonding, and we're getting a good workout in, right? But there's so much more that can be delved into that actually makes the workout better and easier, because if you're not worried about all these other things going on in your life, or your career changes, or spouse problems, or your home needs to be moved, whatever it is, you can actually focus on your health. You can focus on those things that bring you joy and happiness, which is really what everyone's trying to get back to, right?
Right.
And so I took the certification. I loved it. I honestly did not know it was going to be so much work. It was like basically getting a master's degree. It was like drinking through a fire hose, but it was fabulous. And so now I really love it. It's really a great way to get to know people more on a deep level than just this subsurface, let's build some muscle level, which is important.
Right.
But I really enjoy it.
You have a little bit more time in between, more than
Yes,
the
more than the
1
1 minute in between rest.
Because I know
That's
that's
right.
a rule too. It's no
It's a rule.
longer than a minute. You're
No, that's
very
right.
strict
We're
on that.
not chit-chatting. If you're lifting weights and we're chit-chatting, we are not doing a very good job.
You got 1 minute
You got
to
1
get
minute.
it in.
Spit it out. That's right.
You're such an Enneagram 3. It's like, make this efficient. Let's go,
right.
you know?
That's right.
And that
That's right.
explains why you do all the things. And
Yeah.
you mentioned your son, but and I did
Yep.
want to talk about, because I know we're going to talk
Yeah.
about balance, but you have quite the array of
do.
and clan of children at this point.
I
you
have
know?
6 amazing kids. My oldest is 27. My youngest is 8. And I have 5 boys and 1 girl. And they're all fantastic. I actually only have 2 at home now. Of course, all my other kids, the older ones are all grown and moved away, college and kids and grandkids. And now I have 2 granddaughters,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So I have 2 at home still right now. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So what did balance look like for you in the last couple of years, going back when you were raising your oldest kids, when they were young, balancing commercial real estate, Pilates, all of the things? What did balance look like for you?
Well, I say I'm a believer that we have three parts of our life, right? The first, the second, and the third. So the first is like you're 0 to about 20 years old. You really don't know anything. You think you know everything, you know nothing. But like 22, 25 to like 45, you learn all the stuff. Well, in that time when you're having kids and balance is almost impossible, right? You're just trying to survive, scrapping by with whatever you can do, right? I was fortunate enough that my first husband, I always had two nannies. One would come and help me with whatever the baby was, because I had so many babies at one time, right? Like back-to-back babies, it
Yes.
seemed like. So I had a nanny that would come help me with the baby so I could work and I could do things. And then I had one that would come and help do all the cleaning and the cooking, all those things, so I could actually work. My first husband, he worked all the time, and I worked all the time, so it was very difficult. So I was fortunate enough to be able to balance because I had help. But as I say that out loud, I mean, we prepared to have help. We prepared before we had kids. Okay, this is what I want to do. I don't want to stop working. He didn't want me to stop working either.
Yeah.
And he had a very demanding career, and we had like many businesses together. And so we knew, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to need some help. What does that look like? How do we feel about it? Who do we want? How do we find someone? All those things. So we just kind of made it a priority as we're trying to get pregnant with our first child. Like, what does that look like?
Right.
So that was really the key to balance. Yeah. Just trying to balance it out because we wanted to be prepared. We wanted to have children, have a family, but also both of us wanted to keep our jobs too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. Yeah. Planning in advance.
Yeah, I can't say enough, emphasize enough, but you have to, because even though we were planning and prepared, it was like drink through a fire hose then too.
Right.
I mean, you're outnumbered. If you have more than one kid, you're always behind in something. Nothing is ever caught up.
And 6, you know?
Nothing's ever caught up. Yeah.
Well, and that's a interesting kind of segue into this circle of life because you and I, we do our retreats together in Costa Rica. We have one coming up in November. It's November 6th through the 10th. Going back to El Mangrove. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Oh, we had so much fun. We extended it by a day because nobody wanted to leave last time.
I know. I'm so excited about that because that means everyone else gets one day. We're going to get an extra day too.
Yes,
so
I know. Oh, it's going to be great. But that's the first time I had heard about this circle of life, which I realized I had a lot of unbalance in my life, and I didn't even know it. And so I know balance is a big part of that. But, you know, segue into the circle of life. How did you discover it? Share what it is.
Okay.
Why is it so important? Because it changed my life.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. So it's part of the Integrative Nutrition program, right? Becoming a health coach. It's kind of their basis of looking at everything. You need to look at the root causes of things, all parts of your life, right? Because when you're young, if you have a great childhood, awesome. Most people have some kind of traumatic events or things happen, right? So you had joy up to a certain point and then something occurred. So other things happen in your life then affect all those things, right? So the circle of life is basically just takes 12 pillars from your career, education. It doesn't mean necessarily college education or not just educating yourself on the piano or just whatever kind of education it is. Home cooking, home environment, your community, your exercise, of course, your health. All different 12 pillars, and it's really just a circle. And you take it home and you reflect on it. We did it at the group, so it was kind of, in a 2-hour window. But
mine really did not look like a circle.
Yeah, well, and no one's actually looks like a circle. No one that looks like a circle, because really balance is not possible, right? Because there's always a time in your life, whether in your first, second, or third half of your life, where you're going to be imbalanced, right? But what it does is you put a dot in the middle if you feel like, oh, I have none of this, and a dot on the outside, and then you connect your circles, okay? You connect your dots. Connect the dots. And the more, balanced or unbalanced, you can kind of see, oh, like home cooking, right? Maybe was one for you.
It was.
Yeah.
Call me out, jeez.
Which is fine because that's a lot for a lot of people because we're in a society now that we all work and we're all really busy. So it's very easy just to run through somewhere and get something. But going back to the circle of life, everything revolves around what you fuel your body with, food and your mind. So your social media and what you eat, right? So many people have that home cooking one. Not everybody, because some people are homebodies and they stay home all day and that's all they do is cook. So the rest of their circle looks terrible, but their home cooking's awesome, right?
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and so it's just about looking at it and first acknowledging all the wins. All the further out dots you have, awesome. And how did you get them there? What's keeping them there? And then looking at the ones that maybe are not so close to the outside and figuring, okay, what did I do in these other areas that I maybe can incorporate in this area to help it be pushed out? Knowing that depending on what time of life that you're in, it's going to make something else imbalanced, right? Because it's almost impossible to keep it a circle. I mean, I think when we die, it's probably a circle, to be honest. Because then you have no more obligations and no one's pulling you in 100 ways, right?
Well, let's talk about that. Is balance an illusion then?
I think that I guess that's probably a good way to look at it. It could be an illusion, but it's something to just to be aware of. I know that on your other podcast with Dr. Susan, you talked about the line, right? Are you above or below the line? Well, the circle's kind of similar to that. It's not right or wrong. It's just, where am I? Because a lot of times I think that, especially people I talk to, mainly midlife women, I don't know what's the matter. I don't know why my husband keeps doing this. I'm the best wife. I do all of these things. Well, when you start looking at your circle of life and you're honest about your circle of life, you realize, okay, well, I really am spending a ton of time with my community, my girlfriends, all this, and I'm really not at home cooking. I'm really not putting time into my relationships, right? Or whatever it is. And so you can really use it like as your own accountability tool to just not lie to yourself. Just, it's okay that it's that way, but be honest. Don't blame it on someone else or some external thing when we own every part of that circle, you know?
Right. I think it's easy to blame, and I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, me too.
As someone who also always has a lot going on. I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm an Enneagram 7. I like to be busy, and eventually I realized I was just distracting myself from negative emotions, but that's a whole other podcast. I think we will do that podcast,
that's right,
actually,
we will.
because you're also writing a book, which we'll
That's
get
right.
into that later. But you can blame your balance or lack of balance on everything externally, everything. But this circle of life, it kind of forces you to look internally. And I have the 12
Awesome.
parts of it. It's joy, spirituality, creativity, finances, career, education, health, physical activity, home cooking, home environment, relationships, and social life.
Yes.
And these are the 12 parts of your life. So when you say integrative, you weren't kidding.
Yeah,
You're
so
looking
it's
at
just,
everything.
it's not just about food, and it's so interesting because everything starts with what you fuel in your mouth or your mind. So your eyes, what it sees, what your ears hear, what your mouth eats, that fuels the whole rest of your life, how you feel about yourself.
Right.
Really, it really shapes the way we are. And that's why whenever I started looking into different ways to how I could help my clients, this is like the ideal situation, because this is really the whole person. This is who we all are.
Yeah, right. I think what was eye-opening for me on the retreat when we did this, and I had done it for the first time, I'd never seen this before. And as an Enneagram 7, I like being happy, and I like the joy. And I realized, it definitely did not look like a circle. I will say that. When you connect in all these lines, it kind of looks like an amoeba or something really wonky. And I think there might be some structure as to where things are paired together. They're next to certain things.
Absolutely.
At least my circle made me shed some light on that. But what I realized was I was a lot of 10s. I hit that outer circle, and we do have a PDF attached to this. So if you want to try this exercise, we'll make sure that's in the show notes for you. But joy and spirituality, creativity, they were all a 10, right? And you spend some time with each piece of the pie. Like, why is this a 10? And I was like, because I do this. I'm really happy with this, just kind of little bullet points next to each piece of the pie. And then as there were pieces that were not as filled in, so I was not as, I guess, happy with them. Right. Or just didn't feel balanced.
Didn't feel like you were acknowledging that I don't really cook at home a lot.
Right.
I really don't do that. I don't even have pots and pans, whatever it may be,
oh,
right?
No, I have the whole Pampered Chef set, right? For my first wedding. But do I use them? No. But I realized, some of these things that were, a 0 or a 1, like, whoa, when I sit down and honestly have a conversation and say, okay, in my mind, I think if I had just not thought about this, because that's what we do, we avoid thinking about things that don't bring us joy.
Right, of course.
Right? Who doesn't? It's
Always.
easier. It's
Right.
easier.
It's much better.
Let me just avoid this.
It feels much better.
I'm thinking my home cooking's, it's an 8, right? It's an 8. It doesn't require that much attention. So when I'm looking at the paper, I'm like, whoa, that dips way down. Because if I'm being honest with myself, I never cook. If I do, it's something, super basic. And then I'm either not eating, which I think a lot of people do because we're busy, or I'm just grabbing something and going on the way home because it's convenient.
That's right.
When I sat down and thought, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually much worse than I thought it was. So the circle of life, first of all, made me realize oh, this is what it really is, And then secondly,
Yeah.
my second aha moment was, what do we do? And I think this is a big source of unfulfillment and imbalance for people is because, joy, spirituality, creativity, they were all a 10.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling out of balance or unfulfilled, what I found and what this activity made me realize was, oh, if something feels off for me, if I'm in a rut, I take the things that are already a 10.
That's right.
And I just do more of those.
That's exactly right. That's exactly, everyone's circled, everyone does that too.
Yeah.
I liken it to, so no offense to any guys in the gym, so you see guys in the gym,
Oh,
and they
I know where you're going with
big
this.
arms, and they got big shoulders, and they got little bitty legs, right?
Teeny little
and
chicken legs.
they wear pants all the time, so no one has to see them, but they keep working on everybody. So everyone, no matter what you're doing, gravitates to what is easier or what you're happier doing, and you just keep doing more of that. That's also the circle of life, helps recognize that, okay, all of this side might be outward. This is awesome. Congratulate yourself for this. But maybe it's time to take a little bit away from this, maybe away from your community a little bit because you're doing it all the time, and put it in some of the others and see what joy comes from those things.
Right.
To kind of balance yourself out.
Exactly. So if I'm used to, let's just say spirituality, and we'll just keep it on that one, is a 10 for me, because I think I'd put it as a 10. Okay, so let's just say I meditate and I do my journaling for 1 hour a day. Something's feeling off in my life. I'm like, oh, I gotta do more spirituality. Let me do 2 hours a day.
Right.
When I actually look at the circle, I can see, well, I don't do any home cooking, and my excuses on there where, oh, I don't have any time, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I can look at the circle and say, well, I can take from my 2 hours of spirituality, because
Exactly.
if it's at a 10, you can't extend the circle out. That doesn't
You
really,
could try.
You can try. Yes, you can try
Right.
it, and you just run out of time more for things that aren't already working for you. So I'm like, okay, I can look at this and say, I don't need to do 2 hours of my spiritual work. I can
Right.
stick with my 1 hour, because the 1 hour was actually already giving me a 10.
Right.
All of a sudden, now I've found 1 hour that I can dedicate to making that chicken or whatever it
or
is.
just a planning, like I tell people too that have that, because that's a very common one that people have in their circle that is not up to even an 8 or 9 or 10. And I'm like, well, then just plan maybe like once a month a dinner party for your friends, right? That gets your community together. It gets a bonding time with everyone, and you're cooking something. Maybe you have everyone prepare something, and you have like a potluck, and you prepare one thing. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. You're not cooking every day and doing these things, but just something that incorporates more than one piece of your pie, right?
Right.
And that really helps balance it out, because then you find joy and happiness in sharing this meal with other people. And maybe people that you haven't seen in a while, or maybe a group that you're a member of or something, right? You can meet at a place and you guys do it like, what is that place? Like Sur La Table or whatever. Like all those places,
yeah.
the fun cooking
you
places.
can mix.
Yeah, you can mix it.
There's crossover with pieces of the pie.
Yes. Yeah, and so that really brings you a lot of joy, and you realize you did have an extra hour. And it's fine that keep doing the extra spirituality. All those things are awesome, but you can really find even more joy inside if you're able to push out a little bit and try to make it even. Again, it's never going to be perfect. There's always times in our life we're busy starting new businesses, having kids, and moving, and all these things that we all do. But just recognizing, I even say every 6 months, just looking at like, where am I today? Because in 6 months it could be totally different. In the next 6 months it's totally different again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Balanced shifts. It's like the
Yes.
shape shifter. Like
Yeah.
if you look at your circle, it will be like an amoeba, always moving.
Always.
And fluid, and allowing yourself that fluidity. And I think a big thing, and I'm curious to see what your take is just from a coaching aspect and training aspect. But, if I see something that's a 1, right, my home cooking was a 1, I want to just jump in and make it a 10, right? It's
Right.
like those people who, like, New Year's resolution, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to never eat carbs again, and
right.
I'm going to work
I'm
out.
gonna live on salad.
Yes, live on salad, and I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, even though I haven't worked out in 10 years. Right?
And I'm never up at 5 a.m. either, so.
Yeah, right, exactly. 2 new things in
Yeah.
addition to cutting out food. But so talk to me about what is your, I guess, advice for anybody who, oh my gosh, like, I see it as a 1, I got to make it a 10. What are some tips for success for that slow progress?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, and I love what you said, it's a constant amoeba shape, because if you are making it a constant different amoeba shape, I would say that you are blessed. This is the best case scenario. That means you're actually focused on trying to make improvement, because remember, most people have more than one person in their life, right? Even if you're just a single young person, you have your parents. It's not just you typically. Sometimes it is, but not always, right? So what your actions affect other people, right?
Right.
And so having this amoeba shape, maybe you've been neglecting something and now you can kind of push it back out, and then they're like so much happier, and you've affected someone else's life in such a positive way because your circle's always shifting.
Right.
So one way to start something, if you are at a 0 or a 1 or a 2, whatever, like I was saying before about the cooking, just pick one thing. Don't go crazy. Don't run out and I need to go buy all this food this week. I'm going to cook every night of the week when you've never done that and you don't have time to do it. Just be like, okay, I'm going to have a plan. Let's eat one time at home this week. I'm going to make something. Maybe not even from scratch. I'm going to get it from the store. I'm going to reheat it. I don't care. I'm going to use plates that I have to wash in the sink, right?
Small steps.
Just small steps. Because it's not about what the world is seeing. It's about how it makes you feel. So if you're doing it so much and it's stressing you out, and the next week you're freaking out because now you're behind on the actual work that pays your bills or whatever, that's not good either, right?
Right.
So just like in any life, everything's in moderation. Just starts one thing, one day a week. Maybe if I'm not spiritual at all and I don't do any meditation, you're not going to sit down on your pillow for an hour and look at the wall. That's just not going to happen. You're going to be mad the whole time. Meditation doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So just start small. If you're not into it at all.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, just sit down, close your eyes, and take like 2 deep breaths. Okay, done for the day. And then go to the next day. Can I do it the next day? Can I do 5 deep breaths? Right? It just, everything is in moderation. And just start very small.
Small progress. And then you can go back and say, oh, last time, 6 months ago, I was a 1. Now I'm a 2.
Right. And again, if your thing is always changing, that ever-flowing shape, that's the best case scenario. Because that means at least you're mindful. You are trying to control your situation, your choices. These are all your decisions, right? There's no outside force making you do something, or it's not someone else's fault. You are owning all these decisions in here.
Right.
It's a good feeling. You just have to get used to being okay with that.
Right. And when you go back and look and say, wow, I really crushed it in this, and this, and acknowledging your growth, right? Celebrating those small wins. I went from a 4 to a 5.
Yes.
Or this was acknowledging that it's a season too. This was a season where I was really busy. So maybe my home cooking went from a 7 to a 6, but look at this joy that I had because I was traveling a lot or whatever it is.
Right. I mean, there's a lot in that, like what you're saying is maybe you're in the middle of a move. Maybe you're transferring from one city to another. You're changing a job. All these. So those are going to be super high because that's going to be 100% of your focus. So your home cooking, your home environment, none of those things are going to be great. You can't expect them to be great, right? You can't do it all. But then once you get settled in and you're 6 months into it or whatever, then you can kind of be looking like, okay, I've got this under control now. I need to be looking at other things to bring me joy, right?
Yeah.
Don't make your biceps so big that your legs are like chicken legs,
Chicken legs.
Yeah, it's good to revisit it. I tell people about every 6 months. My coaching's only 90 days. If I can't teach you what you need in 90 days, I'm not doing a very good job. I need you to learn it so then you can tell other people and apply it and move on. So every 6 months on your own, you just keep redoing it and figure out like where am I? And am I happy with this? Do I feel good about it? And move on.
Yeah. And I love what you said of the goal really is not, it's not that outer circle, right? The goal is not to have 10 everything, right?
Well, I just don't even know how that's even possible.
Right.
You'd be insane. You'd be like, I don't think it's possible.
Or you're not being truthful with yourself.
Or you're just lying. You just drew a circle around the thing.
Yeah,
that's
it makes me feel good just to do this.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, I mean, it really, when we're coaching in that environment, I typically ask for 2 weeks. When they make the appointment online, I'm like, you need 2 weeks from whatever day you're making. So don't book it for tomorrow because I need you to have 2 weeks to really sit down with this and really pay attention because you might be in a hurry when you get it or you might be looking at whatever and you're really not being honest with yourself. But as you go through a couple of days of your actual life, you're like, oh, I really don't do this. I think I do this. I've got a bunch of Facebook friends or whatever. Yeah. So I think I'm doing all this, but am I really ever? No, I'm not. So it takes time to really process and be self-accepting of what's actually really happening. It's just you and the paper, right? There's no right or wrong answer. So I think it's really important to give it its due time to be honest with it.
Yeah. Ooh, and accept it and also know and love yourself no matter where you are. Even though I'm a 1 on the home cooking, I'm still going to love myself, right?
Everyone's got a win on there. So this is the first thing we celebrate is the win.
Yes.
Everyone's got a 10 in something.
I will say you do see the 10 first before you see the 1, but then the 1's like, oh yeah, like, oh, that is it,
You do.
So, but here's the thing is it's so easy to look at the circle when it's literally the visual is just so, I guess, simple.
Very simple.
It's simple and you're like, whoa, okay, there's no lies on this page.
No.
If I haven't lied to the page, then there's no lies on this
That's right.
page. It's very easy to see and very clear
Yeah.
of what area requires some attention in my life. But tell me, and this might be very similar to people coming into you with personal training or Pilates, it's like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, where they focus on the negative of it, of, oh, well, look at this, it's terrible. You know?
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that going back to the happiness, the joy, right? A lot of people, just for whatever reason, have that negative vibe. They have that, they can't seem to get out. They can't seem to figure out why, what's really going on. It's really not about that, right? And we just start small. I find what's the win? Spirituality. We'll use yours as an example. Spirituality, that was your win. So if that's your 10, how did you make it a 10? Look how good you're doing. What did you do to get this to be a 10? What do you do every day? I journal, I this, I that, whatever it is. So how can we do this? How can we take one piece of that and let's put it in your home environment? What can we do? Well, I can't. I can't afford an apartment. I can't afford. That's fine. Do you have any plants in your house? No, I would kill everything. Well, let's get you a fake plant. How would a fake plant feel? I don't know. It wouldn't be real. I'm like, why don't we just practice and try? Or why don't you get a candle? Do you like candles? You just start with the smallest little piece.
Yeah.
What in your meditation or whatever your spiritual, whatever your 10 was, what can we take from that and just take it to the other one? Just one piece. Very simple. And you have to keep giving him the wins because just like in personal training or anything else, when you have those negative, I can't do this, I can't, but you can. So you have to first change your mindset. You have to stop saying I can't. So let's start small. You have to give them a win. Whatever that win is. Here's the 2-pound dumbbell, you lifted it. Okay, that's a win. When in your mind, you can really lift 10 pounds, lady. You're like lifting your purse, which weighs 10 pounds, right?
Yes.
But in their mind,
Sometimes
they can't do
12.
it. Right, sometimes 12, even heavier, that's right. And so you got to find the little wins, right? I'll digress for 1 second. I consider this to be heaven and hell on earth whenever we are, I can't, but you really want to, and you keep setting this thing, I'm going to do it, and then you never do it, and that's your brain telling you, oh, no, you can't, yes, you can, no, you can't. So you just got to find the very smallest win, whatever that baby win looks like, and then emphasize it.
Yes. And celebrating small wins actually trains
Yes.
your brain. It gives you a little dopamine
Yeah,
hit
a little
of like,
hit.
oh, I actually like this.
Yeah.
And even if it's something that you don't like, I for a long time, I got divorced, 8 or so years ago. And like I said, I had all this pampered chef everything.
Yeah.
I had I don't even know what half this stuff was actually. Something for eggs. I don't even eat eggs, right? I have no idea how to poach an egg. I don't know. I had the thing to do it.
You got a poacher though.
Instead of poaching, I purged. I got rid of a lot of stuff when I moved this last time, and it felt really good, by the way.
I bet.
But home environment, check.
That's right.
But what I had identified the last 8 years as somebody, I'm starting this company, I had this career change, I had these multiple jobs at one time, and then, COVID hit, and I was doing this and this and this, clearly doing the most, literally no balance in my life, to where I actually began to identify as somebody who doesn't cook. And I actually allowed myself to believe that. And what happened was, when I believed that I don't like to cook, is I didn't cook.
Exactly right. Wow, it came true.
Right. And then, I started dating the guy I'm dating now, and I had said, yeah, I can cook. And it took somebody outside of myself being like, yeah, show me. Like, where are these foods, right? You keep talking a big game, lady, but where's the lasagna, And
well, that's a big step, lasagna.
I know.
That's a big step off the porch.
Go big or go home, I actually do make a really good lasagna. But so I made the lasagna, right? And I realized as I'm doing it, it was kind of not like a coach, it was just somebody outside of me saying, hey, do this, little nudge. And I said, okay, let me do this. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, you know what, I forgot how much I like this. And same thing with lifting. I say this all the time. I don't like lifting. And I identify for years as somebody who, I like cardio. I'm a spin instructor. I'm a cardio girl. I used to run marathons. Again, with the, heart health, 10 out of 10, but let's get some muscle on this frame, 0. And I think a lot of people do that in the workout realm, too.
Absolutely.
It's like, well, I work out all the time. Like, I don't understand what's going on. No, you're just in denial about it. Right. I know I was, and I'm like, I don't like lifting, and a friend of mine has recently been like, let's just start lifting together a little bit once a week. And so I started going with her, and I realized I actually like this. And even after a couple weeks of doing it, just once a week,
Yeah.
and liking it, I still caught myself thinking, oh, I don't like lifting. I was like, no, I actually do. I have been enjoying it. So revisit your circle, right? Whatever
Yes.
you may not have liked or think you don't like, just be open-minded to seeing.
And that's the thing too, right? Is I'm sure in your coaching practice too, you see people all the time. They just tell themselves these stories, but they're not true. They're not valid. Why would you say that? When you're a kid, when you're 5 and 6 years old, what are you doing? You're running around with no shoes. You're bouncing off the walls. You're playing. Everything is magical. You're drawing on the wall. You're making dolls out of all. I mean, you're doing all this very creative and crazy and athletic and all these things. Then all of a sudden, the world says you can't do that. So I don't like it anymore. How do you know you don't like it? You just have to get out of that comfort zone. Redoing your circle every 6 months really helps you realize. Look, just try it. Just try one thing, lasagna. Just try 2 things. Try 3 things. Next thing you're like, I'm not Martha Stewart. I don't love to cook personally, but I do cook. I cook all the time. I'm not very good at it. My kids joke all the time. Like we lived on dried chicken and broccoli. Like now you learned how to cook. Great. Now they're all out of the house, right? But the thing is that
with all those mouths to feed,
I know.
who could blame you?
It was very hard, but I mean, it's just like revisiting the circle every 6 months. Again, just helps you stay in check with your own decisions, right? You get to own. And I feel like that's the power. That's, especially now that I'm in midlife, I feel like I took like a power pill. It's like I feel like I'm in control of every decision, of everything, because I am choosing this path. I'm choosing whatever my circle looks like this week, this month, whatever it is.
Right. Yes. And revisiting just who you are, right? Literally on a circle. Who am I on a circle? And it's just a great place to start because I think a lot of people, I know, in my 2 examples that I shared, I personally dealt with this, where this fake illusion, this story is who I was is who I am and who I'm always going to be. And it's just allowing yourself to be an amoeba, right? You change and you grow and you shift, and you can't always, be in this insane season of growth, right? So then people feel guilty whenever it's like, oh God, I've had this still season or whatever. I'm terrible. I'm lazy. I'm all these things, whatever. But you just allow yourself to revisit and say, no, this was a really busy season. Look at my my health. Wow, I actually took care of myself during this season, and I'm allowing myself to do that. And just because I've always been a certain way doesn't mean I can't change my mind.
Well, I mean, what's the main thing in our whole life? I mean, change is the only constant thing we can look forward to. So how come that wouldn't be that way with all these things that make you who you are, make your life who you are?
Yeah.
It's glorious. You're so lucky if you get to change all the time. Like, what the heck? And so many people resist that change. They're scared. They're afraid. It's embarrassing. It's whatever. I get it. I feel the same way sometimes. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're just like sweating pits. You're like, my shirt's wet. I'm sweating so much, right? I get it, but what do you got to lose? Like, what in our retreat, we talked about that. Like, well, what's the opposite story?
Yeah.
The opposite story is I'm amazing versus there's no way I can do this. I don't cook. Or I'm like a mini Martha Stewart here. I can do whatever I want, right? I'm Inga, what's her name? Inga Gardner or whatever her name is. Like, she's an amazing cook.
I love her.
Yes. I could never cook like her, but I pretend. I'm like lacing my food with all this fresh herbs and all these things. I'm like, oh, look at this.
Wait, they make herbs that are fresh?
HEB, you buy the plant and you leave them in your window and cut them up.
Oh, yeah, cut them, yeah. I know. I've had a couple of those and I stuck them on the fridge. And because I'm also clearly not a plant person either.
Yeah. My thumbs are black. I cannot cook it. I cannot grow anything either. I cannot.
I know. I don't know
I try my best.
Just, I tried. I've kept a dog alive.
That's a lot.
Better than a plant. So I
agree.
That's a good reframe. I can keep animals alive,
That's right.
Great. But, it's just... the balance is just allowing it to change over time. And I love what you said. Change is the only thing that is certain.
100%.
And if you sit here and looking like I can't change anything, that's the biggest lie that you could ever tell yourself.
Well, it's just, again, it's back to the heaven and hell. If you are convinced that that's the fact, I mean, what is your life really like? I mean, you must be in total turmoil the whole time. Your whole life must be like so traumatic.
Yeah.
Because that can't be true. Your brain can't reconcile that. Like,
Right.
we're always changing. Our circle, everything about us is always on movement. The atoms in our body, everything moving right now. We're sitting here still, but we're moving. So it's just not possible. And so
Right.
I think, again, the circle helps you draw your own self in, be like, what does this really look like for me? And what is it going to look like in 6 months? What do I want it to look like?
Right.
What are my options here?
Yeah. So the first step is really just the acceptance of, okay, I'm going to take an honest, cold, hard look at myself. And I don't have to share this with anybody.
That's right.
You know, I can keep this to myself.
It's really better if you do that too, and especially in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
because you want to just know yourself, right? You don't want any outside input.
Right.
What do you think I am, or
Oh,
how do
you're a
you
great cook, you're a
perceive
great
me?
cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, because you want to be able to. You need to have that ownership, and you need to feel powerful in your wins. That those are actually your wins. That's not somebody else's situation giving you feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So the autonomy that comes with even just analyzing these parts of your own life
Yep.
yourself is very, I found it very empowering where,
Yes.
and it was good. You know, you can just focus on the negative, like, oh gosh, I haven't, you know, cooked in 5 years or whatever. But, and you can focus on the problems, you can focus on the negative, but going back to your mindset being a powerful tool, you will find what you look for. So if you're looking for ways to be down on yourself about your circle or your life or your balance or whatever it is, you're going to find it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not ready, you're not ready. I mean, no one can. You cannot. What does my mom say forever? You cannot bring the horse. You can bring the horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right?
Yeah,
So it's
right.
the same thing. If you're not prepared and you're not ready, you're just not ready. Maybe it's just not your season of life to be ready to do that, right? And that's totally valid. Also,
Yeah.
You're not everybody's into looking at themselves. Your life's super busy, going through different changes in life. Whatever your situation is, you need to be ready to do it, or at least think you might be ready. And then maybe you look at it and you're like, oh, this is too much for me. I'm
Yeah.
not ready yet. And keep
Right.
muddling along until you're ready. There'll come a time, whether you want it or not, that you'll be ready to look at yourself and be like, oh, this is what's missing, or what I feel like I need to do, or change, or change is being brought upon you and you feel out of control, right? So,
Right. Yeah, accepting it, and then small 1%, you
Yeah.
know, I love that 1% better every single day.
buy a candle. You know, buy a
Buy a
candle.
candle.
Buy a plant. I mean, don't
Buy
go
the fake
crazy.
plant.
Don't go crazy. It does not matter. It doesn't really. It's just for your own
Yeah.
knowledge. It's not for anyone else's knowledge.
Right, because I think it can be overwhelming in
Super.
itself to just be like, oh my God, I got to do all these things. Look at my circle, you know.
You start Googling on Pinterest, you're in big trouble, right? So don't do
Yes,
that.
I know. Small wins.
Yeah.
Direction is more important than speed.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So just small. And then what about somebody who's just like ready to thrive? You know, somebody who is in that place where they are ready for change. They are ready, I guess just, you know, going back to being open-minded to, hey, it might look different than what you thought. It might not be,
Yeah.
you know, you might love cooking, right?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that when they are ready and they think they're ready and they're doing all the, I work out, I do this, I do that, and they find some hiccups. Maybe their community is lacking because they've been so focused on all about other things. It's really easy for someone that is motivated and ready to look at their circle and like, okay, I'm working out 7 days a week. I'm going to back that down to 4. I'm going to use 1 day to go to networking events, or I'm going to use 1 day to go to this sewing class. I've never sewed before. I'm going to go learn how to sew.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm going to sew. Who knows? Or I'm going to go knit, or I'm going to paint, or whatever it is. I'm going to take piano lessons from the lady down the street. Just stepping outside the box. It's very easy for them to do something because they're in that mindset already of changing.
Yeah.
I find a lot, especially since I mainly do women, right? Women in their like late 50s, 60s, they're in that change, right? They're in that, okay, all my kids are gone away. Maybe I want to retire from this job. I want to do something else. They're kind of in that mindset of shifting. But I think before that, it's really hard because you're still in this so much responsibility in your head and so many people depending on you and things depending on you, and the world won't revolve unless I'm in it and I'm right in the middle of it kind of
Right,
life. So
right.
that's kind of hard to shift. But when you kind of get towards the end of that, kids out of school and out of the house, it's a little bit easier to accept. And then, you know, you're working out 5 days a week. Okay, so go down to 2 days a week and go do something else. Maybe you want to volunteer at the food bank once a week. Or maybe you've always wanted to write a book, so write a book. Or maybe I have a dear friend of mine, dear cousin of mine, she's an attorney, And really, for her retirement, she wants to be a comedian. She wants to write comedy. She said, well, why don't you write comedy?
Yeah.
Well, so get a notebook. Let's get a
Do it.
steering by, start writing some comedy things.
Right.
She's actually a really funny person, right? Like, naturally, she's funny. She's always the life of our party, right? And so she wants to do that. So, I mean, just like get the notebook. But what stops you? Just afraid, I suck. I don't want to do it. But she's in that mind shift now. She's like, I'm just going to take my tablet. I'm going to start writing it out. I'm not going to tell anybody.
For me.
And I may find some open mics. And I might just go and not tell anybody. I might just go do it. I'll go in my sunglasses and a wig. No one will even know I went.
No one knows me.
But it's just those little things that you can do that you just never know. Just take the chance. What do you got to lose? What do you got to gain?
Right. Kind of going back to the cooking thing. So I've recently been cooking a lot of carrots.
Okay.
Right? Just carrots in the oven, right?
Okay.
And
those are yummy.
They're really good. And I didn't know it, but if it's like $4.50 or $4.75, you caramelize the carrots. I didn't even know what that meant until about 3 weeks ago. Oh, maybe a couple months ago. But Alan and I have been cooking a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier to cook for two people than one. But I occasionally have been leaving them in the oven for a bit too long. And so these orange carrots come out and the bottom is completely burned. And so we call them tiger stripes.
That's fabulous.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
It's because, something didn't go as good as it could have. It didn't come out perfectly. But now we have this joke about tiger stripes, right? So now my personal relationships, which is another part on here, my home environment, it adds to that, right? And it's just, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? My circle and my home cooking doesn't have to be a 10 because even like a small step in the right direction can actually increase joy and happiness in other parts of your life.
Yeah, like you said, like your home environment, your home cooking, right? Your relationships, all of those parts of the pie that are close to each other all improve. And I think that's fantastic that you have this like ongoing little joke about tiger stripes, right?
We have more tiger stripes more than we don't.
But that's like such a fun thing that you made this connection with something so banana carrot that you cooked in an oven.
Right.
But it's fabulous.
Perfect,
no, I prefer not to even have that. Nothing is ever perfect, right? It's better if it's wabi-sabi, right? Which means just like crazy hair day or crazy flowers, nothing matches, right? Wabi-sabi is that theory that is like, it's always crazy, and crazy is perfect. It's never perfect, and that is perfect.
Right, and accepting that, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of going back to the accepting, because if you're not, one of my favorite quotes is, overanalyzing is a form of denial.
Oh. Yeah, ouch.
I know, right?
Take it out. Yeah.
Overanalyzing is a form of denial.
Yes.
And it's like, ooh, if I'm denying the fact that, I'm not a good cook, or like I'm not cooking in my life at all, right? So, but I'm feeling this lack and this void because my circle's all wonky. I had more of a wonky wheel.
Yeah.
And but I'm denying the fact that this is an area of growth for me, and I'm overanalyzing all these other parts of my circle, and you can drive yourself crazy. And you want to talk about imbalance? It's a waste of time.
Yeah, all of that too, just all that negative energy. And really, the circle of life, what we didn't say in the very beginning is it's really a fun tool. Okay, I know you're analyzing yourself, but it's really fun because where you think that you're great at, you may not be so great at. Where you think you are not great, you're actually really pretty awesome at it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun discovery tool that maybe you haven't ever done before, or you haven't really thought about it in this realm, or these, like you said, it's true, parts of the pie are put together for certain reasons, right? Because joy and spirituality kind of go together sometimes, right?
Right.
And so they're put together for that reason, so you can kind of see, well, if I'm doing really well in this part, right? So here, of course, if these are all 10s, this part's going to be bent inward, right? Like, it's just, it can't be perfect because this is so perfect over here, right?
Right.
And so it's just really a fun way, if you look at it from that, like, childlike eyes, it's fun to just, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what... No one's looking at. I'm not going to grade on this. This is not paying my rent this month. It doesn't matter. Don't overanalyze
burn
it.
Afterwards. If you want to.
Shred it up it's like a ceremony when you're done. You know. So it's really a fun way to really look inside yourself and to see. I mean, there's so much in the world that offers so much, and life offers so many things. We get so bogged down in those little things, like you're saying. This has to be perfect. Or this is not right. My kid's shoe's not tied right. The haircut's not right. My house is not perfect. My yard. All these things, which really don't matter, but we think they matter.
Right.
We get so bogged down in that. And so the circle of life really helps you open up your perspective to what is possible.
Yeah.
And things that you're not even recognizing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because how often did I think about home cooking? Not often.
No.
It's just not even on that frame, of mind for me because it was so little.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of just forces you to be like, oh, yeah, I forgot about,
Yeah,
physical activity.
you can cook at home? What the heck?
Yeah. Right, yeah,
Yeah.
huh? And, I realized, at the time we did this, I was in the middle of figuring out where I was going to live next. And so my home environment was like, I don't know, like there's a lot of uncertainty here. And it was a cause of stress for me. And I realized, hey, everything always works out. Like, you're going to find a place to live. You'll know what the right decision to make is. You'll know the time, blah, 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 all these things, right? And it was like, oh, yeah, this is causing me stress. But if I just sit down and have a realistic conversation with myself, like, oh, yeah, like, it's fine. But if you never acknowledge it,
Right.
then it's just gonna be sitting there because we oftentimes avoid things that we don't want to.
The big biceps and the little legs.
Right.
Everyone does
around
it.
with chicken legs.
That's right.
So not the ones I was cooking either.
No.
So yeah, but it's so in your season of life that you're in right now, which of these 12 pieces of the pie are looking like a 10 for you right now?
I think right now things I'm doing good at are my health and fitness, and I think that my career probably is not quite a 10. I'm like scattered right now in a lot of different places, and I'm trying to refocus my energies, and I'm just not sure where that is, so I wouldn't really mark that as a 10. I think my family life is pretty good. I think that my joy, my spirituality, all those things are pretty good. But I think I'm struggling with my like finances and my career and my education, that kind of thing. Like, where do I fit in where I'm at? Because my whole identity was someone else before, and just a totally different situation. And like, how do I make this work? So I think that's how it for me is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the thought process, I guess, when you're looking at your circle and you say, okay, these areas need some work? What emotions go through you? Do you feel the I should be better at this? How do you talk yourself out of that, shame or guilt or, just negative emotion?
Well, I think that I was doing it this morning, actually. Just first off, giving myself the grace and realizing, okay, I was at 0 and now I'm here, right? And so now what does here look like, and where do I want to go? Just really asking myself, what are my intentions? What is my plan? Like, the universe is giving me all these ideas and all these things, but where do I actually want it to go? I don't know exactly. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to work 90 hours a week anymore, right? I don't want to be doing that. But what does that look like? So I think, just for instance, I'm about to leave on vacation for a week for a wedding. My niece is getting married, and then I'm having surgery. So I have like a 2-week window, which in my mind I've already planned this. This is my 2-week window to decompress and go back. I have a gratitude practice at night, but I'm going to start doing in the morning when I wake up. I heard you talk about this too. Is write down things I'm grateful for and things I want to be grateful for, and figure out if that will help me. So I'm really big on. I follow lots of people. I like to see what people are doing. Like, I'm interested. I'm happy for people, and I'm like, they seem joyful doing this. I want to know what this feels like. What is this about? To try to help guide me in that direction. Because, I mean, I'm older. I'm financially, I'm not worried about my pennies, right? But the thing is that I am worried about, am I giving value for what I'm doing, right? That's what I mean by finances. Like, what am I providing, and how does that actually have value? And what does that value look like?
Right.
To people and to myself, right? Because I want to be happy doing it too. So I think just taking this 2-week period, kind of like when you said you went to Miraval and you had like this thing. So just this 2-week period of just like, let me inner reflect. Yeah. Let me take the time and make my list and things that come to my mind, write them down, do more journaling and that kind of stuff, just to kind of feel out, where is the universe trying to push me that clearly I'm stopping because I have these questions, right? I'm clearly like on pause, and I'm not sure why I'm on pause. But there must be something big out there. I just need to figure out, like, let it go and let it happen.
And being okay with being on pause. So if you're looking at your circle and you're like, oh my God, I immediately want to hop into action, do.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, hey, this might not be the right thing. I'm just that's the difference between inspired action and incessant action.
Yes.
It's like, let me just do all the things. Like, people, going to the gym who've never, worked out before. It's like, let me just lift this.
Let's go at 5:30 in the morning.
It's like, let me just maybe take a breath and get a plan together. And sometimes the plan just looks like, hey, sometimes the plan is a pause, where it's like, let me look and feel like, what do I want to really do with this, and give myself that grace to say, okay, let me take some time to think about it.
And that's the whole thing, is just the pause is so powerful. And I think it's scary. At my age now, I'm not scared. But when I was younger, absolutely, I'd have been like, oh my God, you can't pause. Someone's going to get ahead of me. Or I'm going to lose traction, or whatever the situation is. Now I'm like, wait, I need this pause. I've earned this pause. I need to figure out, I've gone from 0 to here. Now what do I want to do? I'm at this crux where I didn't even think I would get here. Now what? So now I've actually done this. So now what do I do? So I think so much power in the pause.
Yes.
Even if you pause for one day, you have a week to pause, you have a weekend to pause, just to be quiet and reflect and give your brain time to like vomit on your book, like let it come out, like let you just, whatever comes out in your head and your heart, and just write it down and see what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I mean, it's actually, it's surprising what comes out of a pause, but also the little amount of time that is actually required for something to happen. And I will go as far as, you can pause by something as little as not taking your phone into the bathroom.
I love that. That's a good pause.
It's a pause. It can be that little of time, and part of my coaching program is there's a week where people sit for, it's idle mind, right? Just an idle mind. Sit there for 15 minutes. You're not meditating. You're not, staring at a wall, right? But it's just sit. Just sit on your back porch. No phones, no talking to anybody, no music, and just sit. And just see what comes into your mind. So if you're someone, who it's like, oh my gosh, my wonky wheel, you don't have to take a week off from life.
That's right.
Just don't take your phone into the bathroom.
I love that. That's a great like point to say. It doesn't occur to me to take my phone out of the bathroom, but I know that happens a lot. So I mean, that's a huge break from things.
Right. Just get like a couple seconds just to yourself, or just sit there for even 5 minutes without your phone, without talking to anybody, no music, and just see what's in there. Right. If you want to know what to do, oh my gosh, I'm looking at my circle. I don't know what to do. Let me try all these things. It's like, no, like, let me see what's in there.
Let's see what comes out.
And see what comes out.
Well, I have clients that, again, in this midlife area where they're either divorced or the spouse passed away or whatever, and they're looking to date and other things, right, to find a mate or what, either get married or not married. And I'm like, why don't you just go, like, almost what you're saying, not necessarily a pause, but like go to dinner by yourself. No phone, no book, just go to dinner. Go to the coffee shop and just go sit. People observe. Look around you. Smell the air. What people are doing. Go to the grocery store and actually shop and pick up all the items and look around you. Who's shopping with you? Like, what's happening around you? I think that so much power is in that aloneness with yourself, which is very scary for most people, right? I find that when I tell people that, they're like, oh, I gotta do that. That's what are you talking about?
I want to be around people.
Yeah, I can't be alone.
More distractions.
Yeah, exactly. But the power and the power that you get from being in that pause, from realizing, oh, I can sit without my phone in the toilet. Like, I can't imagine, but anyway, that you could do it, or you can sit 15 minutes. I mean, it's just the power that you get from that is overwhelming, because it's like almost like a drug that you get, and you're like, wait, I did that? I'm gonna do that again. Let me see if it happens again.
Oh, that
it happens
actually,
again.
I actually
it happens
did
again.
like that.
Yeah. And then you can really, again, if your circle is wonky and you're looking, start just only in yourself. It's all just self-reflecting on your own self doing it. So the pause is so powerful for that.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
That's why I love the retreat. We can talk about that a little bit. It's just that you want to talk about a major pause. It's a 4 or 5 day pause.
Oh, in paradise.
In a pause. Yeah, if you're going to take a pause, pause in paradise. Yeah.
That's not always a luxury for everyone, but it's going to be amazing.
Yes. So we will definitely put the link to sign up for the retreat in November in the notes. But so it's just talking about retreats and that pause. What is your favorite parts about a retreat?
Man, my favorite part, even before I was hosting retreats, when I would attend retreats, is just the huge community that you become a part of. So at our last retreat, one of my best friends went with it, that signed up to support me, right? She's not into it, doesn't want to go, not into all the hoo-ha-y, I love you stuff and all those things, right?
Yeah.
But I want to go to support you. I'm so proud of you. This is really awesome. She goes, she's like, and at the end, even she's like, the community and the people, this is like the most amazing experience of in-depth conversation, genuine, like no makeup, literally, but figuratively too, right? No mask on,
Yeah.
and you're just being vulnerable, hugging each other, sweaty and everything. It's just, I love that part of it, that human contact that we live, us here in Houston, right? You're in such a busy city and you're always in traffic and all these things happening around you. But that human connection of hugging and touching and talking and looking at each other and sharing food together and not in a rush and your phone's not ringing because the phone's not even around you, you know? It's such an amazing, I mean, it's a high the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a natural high for me the whole time. I just love it. It's my favorite part.
It's transformative. It really is.
You just don't realize how much you don't have the connection, right? You have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends, and we're very connected. We're talking and dinners and all these things. But when you're there and you're together with people, especially people you don't know, and then you find these like-minded people in this community, and then you're like, wow, this is like a whole new world. It really has opened my mind even more to what's possible in my circle.
Yeah.
What's possible, because it's something I would never even dreamed of before. And there's so many different people from different walks of life, different careers, different, ethnicities, just everything that you don't know anything about, or you think you know, but you really don't know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
it
that
is.
part.
Yeah, I love that part too. It's that connection, which is essentially what we're all looking for, you know? And first step, fill out your circle, connect with
That's
yourself.
Right. That's right. Connect with
You
you.
know?
You got to know you before you connect with somebody else. That's right.
And you have to know you. You know, if you have something that's wonky on your circle and you don't know that might be this area of stress for you or a trigger for you,
Right.
then if somebody pokes at it, you know, and you're going to be like, why are you doing that
It's a
to
huge
me?
negative trigger all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like, and you blame the other person, right? Why are you doing this to me? It's on you, it's on you, it's on you. But it's like, I didn't realize that was a little point of contention.
That's right.
That I have within me.
Yeah.
So let me work on it. And I think a lot of times what serves for disconnection is expecting other people to know us. But
for
then
sure.
you don't even know yourself.
Right. How could someone, if you don't know you, how could anyone know you? That's just not even, I love when I have clients. How come to go back to husband, how come my husband didn't know that? I'm like, well, you don't even know this. You
Right.
don't even know how to make this happen.
He's known you for half of your life, but you've known you for your whole life, and
we're
you
not
don't even know
We're
this.
not mind readers. You're not a magician. Like,
Yeah.
how could someone know these things?
Yeah.
Again, it's all, about if you're prepared to self-reflect.
Yeah.
Right? This is how you begin the whole process of the whole thing we're talking about. The circle
Yeah.
and everything else.
Right.
Retreats, everything. If you're a person, like I said, you want to go and check it out and see. You're tentative. You're like, take a friend with you that you feel comfortable with, then fine.
Yeah.
And just go check it out. It is really transformative when you're there.
Yeah, it truly, truly is.
Yeah, it is.
So what's next in this next season of life for you?
Well, we touched a little bit. I'm writing a book. I'm also a grief facilitator. So I'm writing a book about grief. And we had such a great session with our group this last week, and it just reinforces things that people don't talk about, right? About death and about, for sure, we're all going to do it. We're all going to die. And it's just not a mainstream thing that's discussed so much because it's uncomfortable. It's for sure uncomfortable. I get it.
Right.
But I think that it's so important to normalize it
Right.
so we can have those conversations. So I'm writing a book about that and doing my best. That's my 2-week journey. I'm so distracted with these appearances here. I'm doing this thing. I'm doing all these different things. I'm like, okay, I need to funnel back and figure out what I'm doing so I can, accomplish the goals I really wanted. If that's still the universe still wants me to have it. So I'm doing that and just retreats right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Coaching and retreats and trying to get my book going more.
I know, and I'm going to be your book accountability partner.
We need that. I need that.
Because I also have been hearing this very strong message, like, write your book, write your book, write your book. And this is a point of connection, right? It's when you realize, hey, I'm not writing my book, what's holding me back?
Right.
Look
at my circle. That's right.
It's like, okay, here, now is where I can actually have action in the right inspired way. And hey, what's something that's easy? Get a book buddy.
That's right.
And now, look at my relationships and my creativity. Those are going up too.
That's right. That's exactly
These are
right.
not all mutually exclusive. It's just.
That's right.
I love this. So, I'm excited for your book. I'll put it in my 2 cents. I think the universe is going to guide you to write it, but that's just me. Outside of your circle.
Yeah. I hope so. I think so. I've been writing for over a year, but now it's just like funneling into the next section of the progression of writing a book. Right? I've never written a book. I don't know. I've read a lot of books, but I've never written a book.
Right.
So there's a lot to it, and it's almost overwhelming. And I think I'm in the do phase right now. I'm in the doing. I'm doing all these things, which is not writing the book. I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I've got to stop procrastinating and funnel it back my energy.
Right.
But
right.
anyway.
It's having those conversations with yourself saying, I know I'm doing this.
Yes.
And sometimes you know you're doing it before you're ready to do something about it.
Yes.
And that's okay too.
That's right.
But I'm going to give myself maybe a deadline. I'm going to check back in about this in a month, right? Because we can always give ourselves an excuse. Oh, after I do this, and after this is done, and after this, blah, blah, blah.
But there's always going to be something.
There's always going to be something.
It's never not going to be something.
Accepting the fact that there's always going to be something.
That's right.
Right? I actually just said that in a coaching session earlier. It's like, there's always going to be something.
That's right.
You know? So
I love when people tell me
that.
this. I'm not going to have kids until, or I'm going to wait and do this until. I'm like, life doesn't have a rewind button. I don't know what you're waiting for because today is the day to do it all. Do whatever you want. This is the day.
So you're going to leave and you're going to go write for 10 minutes.
Maybe. I did write a little bit already early this morning.
Okay,
I did do a little
it.
bit because I knew we were doing this today, and I'm like, I need to just revisit where did I leave off, and because I had a great session yesterday, and I'm like, I wanted to write about it, so I did that today. But I need to be more proactive, but not need to be. I don't need to put a label on it, but I just need to refocus because I am doing a lot of things, which I just don't know that I need to be doing all these things.
Right.
We all do, right?
We're
doers.
Yeah, we are.
We got big shoulders and bird legs.
We're walking around with these chicken legs, you know? Yeah, bird legs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And if you are a man who works out arms listening to this podcast,
sorry.
Maybe, do some squats. I don't know, squats for legs?
Yeah, do squats, calf raises, do anything.
Calf raises.
Calf raises.
Yeah, you can do those anywhere.
You can do those anywhere. Yeah, please. Okay, I don't mean to
Life
offend you, so
coaching
sorry.
advice.
Yes.
You can do the calf raises anywhere.
Right.
Well, we'll close out with that. But where can people find you? You coach virtually.
I do. So kelleymoves.com website.
And it's Kelley with 2 E's.
Yeah, Kelley. It's 2 L's, 2 E's. Everything's on there. I've got my YouTube. I've got some exercise tips and different things on my YouTube channel, which is also linked to there.
Yeah.
I have a blog up there. Each week I write an article, just depending on what's happening in my life that week. I write about it. I think this week is, procrastination.
We'll make sure that we tag all of Kelley's links so you can find her, so you can access the circle and coaching and all the tools, and definitely find her on YouTube as well. But thank you, friend, for coming on the show.
Thank you, friend. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I knew it would be. And
I know.
I'm telling you, the circle of life was just really eye-opening for me. So thank you for sharing it with my listeners.
You're welcome. It's awesome too. Yeah, make sure it's going to be on your little thing so they can download it. It's all the directions are with it and everything, so it's super easy to do.
Yeah, super easy to follow. So we will make sure that you get that. Once again, thank you for coming on the show. And that's all we got for you today. But of course, if we could leave you with just one thing, it's this: expect good things always, and they will happen.